So my chapter is on expanded gamut and the color accuracy of expanded gamut. And expanded gamut is pretty much, well, it's a pretty hot topic right now, so it's kind of convenient that I got to do a paper on it. So it's kind of relevant just because it's growing in popularity right now. So I wrote a research paper on expanded gamut in first year. That was just pretty introductory, and I wanted to expand on it for this report. And luckily I was able to actually do some testing with GCM. So one of the interesting things I learned when I was doing research for my journal is just how applicable expanded gamut printing can be, because it's kind of like a middle ground option between spot colors and just basic CMYK. So for companies that can afford to maybe up their print value just a little bit, especially if they're printing colors outside of CMYK gamut but don't really want to pay for spot colors, they kind of have access to a wider gamut of colors with expanded gamut. And the same on a printer side. If you don't want to keep a full Pantone inventory, having the capacity to do expanded gamut can cover most of those colors. So there's kind of an interesting overlap there. So my scope was kind of limited just because of time constraints for my report. So I only got to test 12 different spot and expanded gamut colors, but basically I found that under the circumstances, most times expanded gamut was actually more accurate compared to its reference values than spot colors were, which is kind of contrary to what everybody's thought thus far. So that was pretty interesting as far as findings go for my report. So I definitely think the trend towards expanded gamut will continue into the coming future, at least, and especially as technology and standards start developing. They'll kind of match the popularity of it right now, so it'll definitely become more widespread in the coming years, I think. So the main applications for expanded gamut primarily are in packaging, just because you can print more vibrant colors than you can with CMYK, and in the same press run, so you don't have to keep adding spot colors to get those colors. So packaging will probably be the main benefactor in the coming years, but also high-end art reproductions where you want, or color photography where you want those vibrant colors. Expanded gamut will be really useful there. And also with brand logos. So I did my report largely under the supervision of Dr. Sharma here at GCM. So I'd already done a lot of background research into the topic because I wrote a first year paper on it. But lots of my testing process was developed with Dr. Sharma. So basically we decided I would test 12 colors, all midtones about 30 degrees hue angles apart from each other. And using those 12 colors, I'd find them in the formula guide for spot colors and Pantone's extended gamut guide for the expanded gamut colors. And I took 10 measurements of each using the Teshcon SpectraDens, and had those populated, took an average of the LAB values from there, and then compared that average to their reference values in Photoshop. So obviously one of the most important uses for color accuracy is corporate branding. things like Coke Red or Starbucks Green, like you want to get those exact every time, which is why people use spot colors traditionally to do so, especially if they have the means to afford it. But with the color accuracy that was demonstrated for expanded gamut just in my test, obviously it can be expanded upon to see how the conclusion holds. But that kind of color accuracy is primarily really important in branding. So the scope of my project was pretty limited, just because of the time frame I had to work with, which is why I only got to compare 12 colors and using the Pantone books themselves. But obviously more colors could be tested, because obviously with more data you're better to get accurate conclusions from it. So anybody, myself included, could pick more colors, actually print test samples to compare. So there's lots of ways to improve from here.